Guys, we have to have a serious chat. And I'm not joking, I'm actually gonna put on my big boy voice. As you can see, I've got on my big boy suit. All right, let's clap these cheeks. I think it's safe to say that for most people, when they hear the words AI or artificial intelligence, they think of killer robots, malicious software, or some form of bionic world domination. Hollywood and pop culture have done well to reaffirm these stereotypes. Whilst not entirely outside the realm of possibility, these ideas of what AI can and will be can be viewed as quite unlikely. A lot of the fear stems from misunderstanding, and as a wise random person once said, people fear what they don't understand. But that's not to say that AI is completely without its Armageddon-inducing tendencies. It's just that the real problems with AI in actuality are far more boring, but believe me, they can be just as destructive. Let's look at a few real-world concerns that are far more likely to occur, at least initially. Firstly, loss of jobs. Obviously, a lot of jobs are becoming automated, and this is going to render a lot of people in the workplace obsolete. If you don't have specialized skills or lack the access or ability to further education, you may just fall by the wayside. This is a terrible enough consequence for one person, but it gets worse when you consider entire workplaces being cut in half or whole industries being replaced by machines. Despite the kick in the guts for the economy, individually people are likely to suffer mentally and physically as they lose any hope of financial independence. Another serious problem involves bias in data sets. Essentially, AI has to be trained using data. If that data isn't representative of the population in question, it can become inherently prejudiced and cause distress to those who are already in vulnerable positions. Think of someone who's unable to get a home loan due to some unobserved bias in the dataset, or someone who's been administered medication that isn't safe for them because the data didn't include information on their particular demographic. While we're here, let's talk about the possibility of deep fakes and misinformation. We, as a collective of apes, are pretty bad at distinguishing fact from fiction. Advanced AI have the ability to exacerbate this fault in our system. By funneling us information that can blind us to other perspectives, many people's worldviews can become so warped that they hardly resemble reality at all. We see this already with social media algorithms, which breaking news are a form of artificial intelligence. One last real-world concern, and believe me, there are plenty more, is the consequence of having a world that is entirely catered towards you. Imagine plugging into your artificially intelligent VR headset and having at the press of a button every single possibility that you could ever conceive of. While this may sound good, there are many questions that are left unanswered. What does this do to our brain chemistry? What does this do to all the things that we hold dear in the world? Now, obviously, these concerns require far more investigation if we are to understand them in their entirety. There are pros and cons, fors and against for every issue that I just briefly mentioned. Some will say that they are relevant concerns, others won't. The reason I brought them up isn't to tell you whether they are valid or not, nor is it to demonstrate how bad AI is. On the contrary, this video is about how good AI can be if we take it seriously. Hence the big boy suit. Anyway, the point of bringing up those concerns is to illustrate that we can conceive of them. Whether they come to fruition or not is beside the point. We are aware that they are a possibility, and I ask honestly, what are we doing about them? You see, yes, loss of jobs is a real thing, and it can have severe impacts on people's physical, mental, and financial health. But perhaps there is a system in which people can be compensated in other ways that don't involve work. A universal basic income is an example of this. And again, this isn't for or against that particular idea. I'm just demonstrating that the solutions aren't particularly intuitive and they're going to involve some foresight. Now, we have the fortune of watching this AI revolution unfold, and that means that we do have some degree of control over it. We can't afford to let the integration of AI into our society be the same as the internet or social media. Whilst undoubtedly spectacular and revolutionary, social media opened the floodgates for crime, cyber terrorism, depression, ignorance, division, self-esteem issues, and laziness. We created it, threw it out into the world, and only now are starting to advocate for privacy, safety, and education. Things that should have been embedded into the technology when we were rolling it out. But in reality, who could have thought that Facebook would one day decide elections? How did we know that Instagram followers would mean more than real friends or that our kids' first sexual experiences would be on Snapchat. The truth is, we didn't know, but we can't afford to not know again. AI is being called the fourth industrial revolution, and it has the capacity to reap massive benefits for humanity. But we have to ensure that we create and use it in a way that helps humanity flourish, not perish. This means thinking about the problems that we are inevitably going to face, coming up with solutions, contingencies, and safety mechanisms that are deployed as AI grows, not when it's already widespread. So how do you, the sexy person watching this video, play a part in this? Firstly, I would encourage you not to disengage from this topic because it seems boring or difficult or even nerdy. This will affect you and everything you care about. Where possible, inform and educate yourself about what AI is. What are some of the problems that we may face, and what are some possible solutions? Secondly, engage with voices that are championing safe practices in AI. There are websites and notable thinkers, physicists, and computer scientists who are voicing their concerns. Listen to them, and if you do agree with them, share some of their stuff, and if you don't, explain why they're misguided and add your valuable voice to this conversation. Lastly, consider undertaking a university or free online course in machine learning, artificial intelligence, computer, or data science. This could give you a tangible opportunity to take control of how this next chapter unfolds. At the bare minimum, it will offer a level of job security, as these topics will become essential in the AI age. Gone are the days where the computer scientists were the niche group hiding in the background. If you haven't realized it yet, they are the ones holding the world in their palm. They dictate how this goes. We need to make sure that they do the right thing. And I'm not saying that any of these people are inherently evil, but motives such as monetary gain, political pressure, pride, and even curiosity can make good people make big mistakes. AI isn't going anywhere. It's here to stay. If we don't create the necessary safety mechanisms and infuse them into the technology, it will ruin us. And for anyone who thinks that we might just stop using AI if it goes bad, or flick the switch off, so to speak, unfortunately, I don't think that this is a feasible option. Here's an analogy that might help explain why, and it involves cars. You see, we can't just get rid of cars. We rely on them way too heavily. Entire industries are built on their production and sales, and they help us in millions of ways. But cars are also dangerous. But despite this, if all of us were to agree to stop using cars this very moment, the world as we know it would crumble. So here's what we do. Knowing the many benefits that they can provide, but also knowing how dangerous they can be, we create them with seatbelts, airbags, automatic braking, and sensors. We ensure that roads and infrastructure are built to high standards, and if we forego these protocols, it's punishable by law. We need that same kind of vigilance with AI, and we need it now. How are we going to deal with privacy concerns, autonomous weapons, malicious AI, biased data, loss of jobs, misinformation, lack of motivation, overstimulation, misaligned goals, artificial general intelligence, and artificial superintelligence? These are just a few things of the many that we need to be discussing. I'm not saying that we will get the answers right away, or for that matter, that we will get the answers at all. But we can't afford to be reactive when it comes to AI. That much is certain. With social media, we lost the first couple of rounds, but I'm confident that we can come back and win that fight. With AI, the battle will have to be won before we step in the ring. Because if we have to lace up our gloves, we've already lost. As always, I would love to hear everyone's thoughts. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time.